Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me here today on this video. My name is Angela and thank you for coming and spending a little time out with me today. So guys, in this video I want to talk about the scales and how often I weigh. And at Weight Watchers WW this past week, which is the second week in November, we've had a really fantastic topic, and the topic has been all about helping us to create a scale action plan. And WW each week on their workshops, either virtual or in their studio, coaches share 3 fast facts, which is the science behind the topic for the week. And I'll just read you what the science is shared with us this week. And the science tells us that weighing ourselves frequently is associated with greater weight loss. We're then encouraged, or the WW's policy, Weight Watchers policy, is to aim to step on the scale between once a day and once a week. And then the third fact is tracking your weight often can take the pressure off any one day or number and help us recognise that fluctuations are normal. So I just thought this was such a really interesting set of facts and a really fantastic topic this week in workshops, and I just wanted to share my thoughts with you on this. So if you follow me and you've watched any of my videos, then you'll know that I weigh once a month, and I only weigh once a month now because of doing my YouTube channel and doing a monthly update for you lovely people who come and watch my videos, which I thank you for. But before that, I used to weigh whenever the sun shone here in the UK, which wasn't very often. It was just as and when. I had no particular pattern, and it's interesting because WW encourages us to weigh frequently, and they say, and do you know what, I just find it really interesting. They say that when you weigh yourself frequently, it's associated with greater weight loss. And maybe I'm completely opposite. Maybe I'm a freak. I don't know. But I found that when I was weighing myself frequently, because I've gone from weighing myself several times a day to daily to several times a week, weekly, and several times a week to monthly, and you know, whenever the sun shone. For me, I just found that neither of those was associated with greater weight loss. I found that the only thing that was associated with greater weight loss was following the plan and taking action. And, you know, I could step on the scales 10 times a day. Didn't mean I was going to lose weight. All that the scales told me and gave me was data. That was the only thing it gave, was information. And it was what I did with that information would determine the trajectory and the way forward for me. And do you know what, at this point I'm going to just say, guys, regardless of what WW says, whether it's daily or weekly, find what works for you. Find what works for you, and that's going to protect your mindset, and do that. I think the point from the facts that I'm gleaning, and also the point that I'm going to make in this video, is it's about the consistency and being regular. So whether you once every month, whether 3 months, every day, once every 6 months, it's about that consistency and doing that consistency. And then tracking your weight whether you track on paper, whether you track on an app, tracking your weight and identifying those patterns. And that really, I think, is the key for me. And that has helped me to lose 107 pounds. It wasn't about stepping on the scales frequently, daily, several times a day, how many times. It was about as and when I chose to step on those scales, whenever that was right for me, it was what I did next. So for me, I had gone through a stage where I would step on the scales, and if I saw a loss, I would celebrate, and I was celebrating with food. But if I saw a gain or a stay the same, I would commiserate also with food. And therefore I was constantly in this flux of a pound or two on off all the time, and that frequency really affected my mindset. So I decided in August 2018 that I was just going to put the scales away. I was going to put the scales away because I had the epiphany that it doesn't matter how often I step on the scales. That was stepping on the scales is only ever going to give me data. It's only going to give me information. The only thing that was going to get me weight loss was what I did, what I do, and what I do consistently. And I got to the point where I realised actually the scales for me is neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. It's if I followed the plan, if I lived a healthy lifestyle, if I made healthy choices, if I worked on all of those pillars, mindset, sleep, food and activity, if I was consistent with all of those pillars, that is going to get me weight loss. That's the only thing that's going to get me weight loss. And the data that the scales provide is going to give me an opportunity to analyze my body, because it doesn't even acknowledges that number on the scale doesn't acknowledge my progress. It doesn't reflect, you know, my mindset. It doesn't reflect all the activity that I've done. It doesn't reflect you know, my sleep. It doesn't reflect any of those things, because it's just a moment in time. It's just one moment. And in fact, in the month of October, I did a bit of an experiment at my weigh-in, and I stepped on the scales 3 times in 10 minutes. And each time I stepped on, I got a completely different number. And then I shifted the scales 1/4 of an inch and I stepped on again, and I still got a different number. So, you know, what I realised was, you know, fluctuations happen, and fluctuations can happen for so many reasons. It could be stress, could be I've eaten too much salty food, could be that, and I carry a lot of inflammation in my body. Could be that due to my health condition. It could be a change in medication. It could be the weather affects me, because again that can drive inflammation. It could be that I've been traveling or standing on my feet too much and I've got a water retention. It could be that I've not slept well that night. There could be so many reasons why the scales can fluctuate. And what I learned on my journey was that I couldn't cope with those fluctuations. My mindset wasn't in a place where I could cope with those fluctuations. And I would see a fluctuation very much wrapped up in my self-esteem, my self-belief, my self-confidence, my self-worth. Because growing up as a child, I was the fat baby. I was the chubby baby, the plump baby, you know, the chubby toddler, you know, the plump teenager and the obese adult. And there was always a name associated and linked to me, that I carried, that other people had labelled with me with, that was around my weight. And that really affected me. There was lots of hurtful words, hurtful comments. You know, I remember going to see my lupus consultant, and she said, you know, oh, Angela, you know, you're a big girl, you really need to lose this weight, you're such a big girl. And I remember thinking that even to this day, those words still sit with me. I had lots for years and years and years, all my entire life, I've had hurtful words from family, from friends, from people in my community, all related to my weight. And, you know, growing up, I got from one particular family member, family members would tell me, you know, that I was a good looking girl, I was pretty, and, you know, I'd get dressed up, they would say how lovely I looked. But one particular member would look at me and would just comment on how fat I was. And they'd go, look at the fat in your back, look at your rolls, look at the size of your belly, look at the size of your arms, look at, you know. At one point I had, some of you may know this, but at one point I was working on TV, and this family member was watching me live on TV. And when I spoke to them after, the only thing that they could say to me was that how much fat I had around my neck and my chin. That was the only thing they found to say. And do you know what? It hurts. It hurts. So whilst a lot of people say the scales don't define them, which is brilliant, it did for me. I'm being totally honest. I would love to say that I was at a point in my life where the scales don't define me, but it did. It did for many, many, many years. For the bulk of my life, those scales did define me, and it kept me in this vicious cycle of yo-yoing, like pound on, pound off. And that's why I kept starting all these diet plans and diet programs. I've been in and out of Weight Watchers for many, many, many years, over 36 years. You know, I've done everything from Cambridge and Slimming World and the Atkins and, you know, this cabbage soup diet. I've tried starving myself. I've tried all sorts of things because those bloody numbers on the scale, excuse me for swearing, they defined who I was. It was wrapped up in my self-esteem, my self-worth, my self-belief, and the belief that I can do it. So I would step on the scale, and if I saw a loss, it was like, high five, I can do this journey, I can lose weight. But if I stepped on and I saw a stay the same or a gain, it was a very different story. My self-belief had gone. And I didn't believe I could do this. Didn't believe I could lose weight. Just didn't believe it. So yeah, those scales, that number, that data, all of that information was linked to a lot of my emotions and my identity. And I had to work past that. I had to work through it. And at one point, I even sought counselling. It affected me really deeply, really deeply. I had to get therapy to help me to get past all of those hurtful words, all of those hurtful comments that have stayed with me, and I've carried them around with me in every bite of cake, every bite of, you know, every bag of sweets that I would eat, every pack of biscuits, every mouthful that I would overeat. I was eating that hurt. I was eating that pain. So yeah, the scales did define me. That number did define me. So in order for me to move past that, I had an epiphany back in August 2022, and I realised that It doesn't matter. And that epiphany came out of a lot of therapy, a lot of counselling, a lot of support, and a lot of undoing and unlearning a lot of bad habits. And for me, stepping on those scales was a habit. It was a habit that wasn't helpful. And so that's why I stepped away from those scales. I put the scales away. And I remember, I think I got the scales out. There was a 9-week break back in August. The 9-week break, I didn't get on the scales. I put the scales away. I didn't look at them, took the batteries out, wasn't interested in them, and I just focused on doing the plan. And I got on the scales after 9 weeks because I felt a huge difference in my body. And I got on and I lost 16 pounds, I think it was 16 pounds I'd lost in those 9 weeks. And that for me was the epiphany. And that said to me, the scales really do not matter. And I've continued on that trajectory. I've continued that. And I would continue that, just focusing on following the plan, eating healthily, living a healthy lifestyle. And then every now and again, I would just get on the scales. And I would also then focus in on lots of non-scale victories. Noticed that my clothes size was coming down. I've gone from a 26 at maximum to now 12 at my smallest. I could, do little things like bend over and tie my shoelaces without my belly getting in the way. I was sleeping so much better. I was moving that little bit easier. I could walk that little bit further without getting out of breath. There was just so many. I could get out of a chair without help. There's just so many things that I was looking at that was really now helping me on my journey. So I just find it so interesting as to why WW has said that weighing frequently is associated with greater weight loss, and why they're encouraging us to step on the scales between once a day and once a week. And guys, we have to remember that WW is a business, and I love them. So don't get me wrong, I'm not being negative about them. I'm just saying that I love them. They've really helped me, and their plan has helped me. But guys, let's not forget, Weight Watchers, like Slimming World, like all these weight loss companies, they're a business. And can you imagine if WW said in their fast facts, aim to step on between once a day and once a month? Their business would absolutely hit the ground, because members would be like, well, okay, I don't need to go to my workshop for a month. Okay, that's fine. That, I won't go for a month. I'll just go and weigh in once a month. Can you imagine what that would do to the business? Weight loss clubs grow and thrive on getting members to come in regularly, weekly, to pay their money and get weighed on a weekly basis. That has always been Weight Watchers' model. And that's why they're encouraging that weekly weigh-in. But now that, since COVID, we have virtuals, we know that lots of members are going on virtuals daily, sometimes several times a day. So they've had to shift, because years ago, well, ever since I've been associated with Weight Watchers for 36 years, and since day one that I've been going, they've always said weigh no more than once a week. That's been the rock bottom policy for many years, weigh no more than once a week. And then COVID hit, and members were now at home, couldn't go to workshops. So it was like, how can we retain our membership? If members can't go to workshops once a week, what can we do to keep our members? So we opened the virtuals, Weight Watchers opened virtuals. Virtuals were running daily. So now it's interesting that they're saying you can now weigh daily. Sneaky. You know, they've gone from once a week, no more than once a week, because that was the business model, to now you can weigh daily, because that also fits the business model. They will never, ever, ever say weigh fortnightly or monthly or every 3 months, because that will not fit the business model, and the business will absolutely hit the ground if they publicly said that and members started going to workshops once a month. It wouldn't work. So within that, guys, I think the key here is about how often you choose to weigh yourself. You know, I've been on virtuals this week and I've heard people saying that they weigh themselves several times a day because that keeps their mindset in check. To once a month, I've even heard somebody say they're not going to weigh themselves till at the end of the year. I know somebody who hasn't weighed themselves for a whole year, you know, and they're focusing on those non-scale victories and just following the plan. So I would say, however often you choose and whatever works for you, go with it. And don't let a faceless corporate being that is money driven shape your life and tell you when you should weigh yourself, or even if you should weigh yourself. There's nothing, you know, if you don't want to weigh yourself, then don't, you know. But if you are focused in on losing weight, getting healthier, getting fitter, getting stronger, find a measure that's going to work for you. So before I get on the scales once a month, I take my measurements. And in the last 2 months, I've lost 2.5 inches, an inch off my bust, an inch off my hips, and 1/2 inch off my waist. I take those measurements, and then that protects my mindset when I get on the scales, because regardless of what that number says, I know that I've made gains, as it were. I've made a difference. I've improved my health. My shape is changing. I think about my health and the difference that I've made to improving that. And then I get on the scales, and whatever that number is, I'm always doing a happy dance, because I feel good about myself, because those scales no longer define who I am, and it no longer drives detrimental choices for me like it used to. So after I weigh myself, I track it. So I think that out of these 3 fast facts, I think number 3 is probably the most important for me, which is about tracking the weight. Because when we track our weight, we can see our pattern, whether it's coming down, whether it's going up, but also remembering those fluctuations. If we're seeing it fluctuate and coming down, brilliant. But if we're seeing it fluctuating and going up, then maybe that's the point we need to think, do you know what? Yeah, and maybe I need to do something about this. But also, and I know everybody's different, because not everybody is at Weight Watchers to lose weight. And, you know, I've heard members on virtual saying that they're at a stage where they want to gain weight. So, yeah, whatever you are working on, find your pattern. But it's about that frequency. However often you choose to weigh, make it consistent, keep it consistent. So I tend to weigh, if you follow me here, you'll know that I weigh either the last day of the month or the first day of the month, and then I do my video, and then I update you on my progress a few days later. But before you step on the scales, whenever you do, think about what you can do or say to yourself to boost your confidence and to remind you that you are an amazing person and you are doing your absolute best to improve your health. And think about what you can say as you get off those scales. Yeah, that's not going to send you, like I did, either to celebrate or commiserate with food, and that can throw us off track and derail us. But also, what action can you take? So, you know, after I've got off the scale, then, you know, I like to jump on a virtual or listen to some podcasts. And you know me, I'm a podcast queen. I listen to podcasts all day, every day. You know, I might even get in the kitchen, do some meal prep, or have a healthy breakfast like I'm having today. So this is one of my overnight oat pots. I do have a video on my channel. I will link it as to how I make these. This has got oats and nuts and seeds and yogurt in, and in this little pot I've got some blueberries that I'm going to have with this. So you know, I have something healthy now, but also because I weigh now over the month, those fluctuations, I'm not seeing them. I'm not seeing those fluctuations. So last month I lost 1.5 pounds, and for a month and 4 weeks, I know that there would have been maybe some gains and some dips over the course of that month. I would have fluctuated for absolute sure. I was really, really badly inflamed, had to have a steroid injection from my hospital consultant. So I know that there was lots of fluctuations going on, but because I'm measuring it over the course of a month, I'm not seeing that, and it's not throwing my mindset off and derailing me. So guys, yeah, think about what is going to work for you in terms of creating an action plan that's going to help you to step on the scales and not be disappointed, and then take positive action afterwards. And even if you are disappointed, that's okay. It's okay to be disappointed. It's about what happens next. Yeah, are you going to let that disappointment completely derail you, or are you going to use it to spur you on? So I just thought it was a really, really interesting topic, guys, because, you know, in the community, it's so easy to see people using the scales as a tool to beat themselves up with. I did that for such a long time. And I had to get to a point of realising that the weight, as long as I'm following the plan and I'm living a healthy lifestyle, the weight will come off. But I had to address me, and I had to deal with my emotions, and I had to deal with all of that back history, and I had to think about what I can learn on the way. And also to remember that I'm not just a number. I'm a human being with feelings and emotions. And my mindset is key, absolute key, because my mindset, because what I've realised this week, guys, is the topic wasn't so much about the scale. The topic was about mindset. Really was about mindset. Because I realised that it's not the scale that's going to get me to where I want to be. It's not the scale that's going to keep me at where I want to be. No. It's the healthy habits. It's the healthy habits that's going to get me to where I want to be and going to keep me there. And it's those healthy habits, and most definitely not that hunk of junk, that box of metal, that inert thing in the corner. It's not that has helped me to lose 107 pounds. It is purely 100% 1,000%, a million % healthy habits. That's what's going to help me to continue going, and that's what's going to help you guys. It's going to help you. So yeah, so there's lots of anxiety around the scales, a lot of scale anxiety, a lot of feelings and emotions around the scales, but you know, do what you need to do with those scales to get you into a place that is healthy, that healthy mindset, and keep building those healthy habits. So guys, I loved the topic this week. I absolutely loved it, and I just wanted to share that with you, and to share my thoughts with you. That yeah, so WW Weight Watchers as a business has an agenda and is encouraging its members to weigh between once a day and weekly, because that supports their business model. But at the end of the day, you have to find the pattern that's going to work for you, because we're all different. We're all on the same journey, but it's a different journey. So find what works for you. I know what I've found that's working for me. And long may it last, guys. Long may it last. So guys, that is it for me. I hope you enjoyed watching this video with my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Let me know, do you weigh daily? Do you weigh several times a day? Maybe weekly, several times a week, or monthly, or several times a month? Or do you not bother with the scales? Do you focus in on other measures of success to measure your journey by? I'd love to know. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. And feel free to drop them in the comment section below. And also guys, give this video a like, please. Give this video a like, give it a thumbs up. It just means that the YouTube algorithm will pick it up and show it to other people who it may be of value to. So you may be helping somebody. So guys, thank you so much for being here with me. If you've enjoyed this video, if you enjoy being here at my channel, we do all sorts of things. We do weight loss results, weight loss updates, healthy habits tracking. No, let me start that again. Healthy habit tracking. What on earth is that, Angela? So on this channel, guys, I talk about health and wellness, my weight loss journey, and I give you my results once a month. I do shopping hauls. Yeah, I love a shopping haul, and I know you guys love shopping hauls too. And that is shopping hauls around clothes, around food, that support me on my wellness and weight loss journey, and also around household stuff that I buy. I do a tiny little bit of gardening. It's a bit cold out there now, and you know, I've not been out there either. And yeah, a bit of chit chat and cooking as well. I do cooking, and I've also started doing what I eat in a day videos. So if this is the sort of that's the sort of thing you like, then give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and click that notification bell, guys. And thank you so much for being with me. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.